Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, honorable minister. Good morning, acting DG and your team. I think that we may start now. Do we have the necessary quorum? Yes. We do have the necessary quorum. Some of our members would actually join as we proceed. We understand that the minister and the DG have other commitments, so we are definitely not going to keep them longer here. And honorable members, I also have a commitment today. After the minister, I will request that I be allowed to walk across and join the ad hoc committee. We have a critical witness today, and therefore I'm expected to be there. Honorable members, this is our meeting of the Portfolio Committee. We have the agenda in front of us, which has actually been circulated. It's actually not going to be a long meeting. We have very few items. Honorable members will remember that we have actually been having an outstanding item, that of the minister to brief us on the developments within the ITB. It's something that has actually been outstanding since towards the end of the last year and early this year. But because of the minister having had some other commitments, it was just not possible to have that. So I would invite members to actually look at the agenda and then propose the adoption. After the apologies, though. Yes, can we have apologies?
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, Honorable Members. Chairperson, I have an apology from the DM who is currently on sick leave. Honorable Nana has tendered his apology. Honorable Madlala, Honorable Mthethwa, and Honorable Ndalani are on oversight. And Honorable Van Veek is on sick leave as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other apologies from members? Well, it doesn't seem there are any other apologies. Okay, can we then adopt our agenda? There was a hand already. The Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to all, Minister, the staff members, and colleagues. Chairperson, I wanted to adopt the agenda, but before we do that, can we add another point on the agenda? Yes, I want us to have a discussion on the Colombia trip.
Colombia. Okay. All right, thank you. There is a motion for the adoption of the agenda. Any seconder? Honorable Maseko.
Chair, I am going to second the adoption.
Thank you. Well, having done so, I would, without any further ado, invite the minister to actually make his remarks. Thank you.
Morning, Honorable Chair. Morning to the members, honorable members of the committee, officials, and everyone in the House. Morning. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to brief the Committee on Developments concerning the Ingonyama Trust Board. The department is currently dealing with a situation that involves an ongoing investigation, governance constraints within the board, and active legal proceedings. I'll address the committee's request directly. On investigation, senior counsel led by Advocate Muerane was appointed to investigate governance and administrative matters at the board. The scope includes executive contracts, procurement compliance, financial management, and the relationship between the board and the trustee. Engagements have taken place with the department and relevant stakeholders. A meeting was also held with the governance framework at the Royal Palace. Forensic accountants have been appointed and are analyzing the 2023-2024 annual report. No findings have been made at this stage. The process remains evidence-based and subject to verification. On governance status, the board is operating with reduced membership following resignations. In fact, 4 resignations. This affects continuity of governance and the ability to sustain consistent decision-making process. Quorum requirements remain applicable in terms of the regulations. The trustee has raised concerns regarding participation in governance and oversight processes. These matters form part of the investigation. The department's position remains that the board was lawfully constituted. The issue before us is the current functioning of the institution under these conditions. Financial and administrative matters. As at 17 March 2026, the department has not received the annual financial statements of the board. This is recorded for oversight purposes. The department has requested documentation relating to the acting chief executive officer. That document has not been provided. Available information indicates that the appointment may have expired on the 31st October 2025. This matter remains under verification. Now, the ministerial process that we are undertaking right now. The department has engaged the board over time on governance matters. The investigation forms part of this process. The minister has also engaged National Treasury in terms of Section 49(3) of the Public Finance Management Act regarding accounting authority considerations. On 10 March 2026, correspondence was issued to board members, that is the 4 remaining members, indicating the possible changes to board membership are under consideration. Board members were invited to make representations, and that process is ongoing. No determination has been made. The committee is aware of the matter before the High Court. This is the legal context. The department's position is set out in its court papers. The board is considered lawfully appointed following the required consultation processes. The matter remains before court. The matter that is from Judge Jerome Gwenya against the board. Consultative process engagements. The minister has undertaken engagements within the governance framework applicable to the trust. These engagements addressed governance matters affecting the institutions. In conclusion, Chair, The department is addressing the situation that involves governance, constraints, compliance matters, and ongoing investigation, all within an active legal environment. All processes are being undertaken within the framework of the law. Further updates will be provided once the investigation is complete and outstanding matters are verified. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Well, thank you, Honorable Minister. I think there is one or two matters that one would like to actually highlight here. The one is the resignation of board members. I'm sure as a committee we were not aware that the board actually has been depleted and that there were so many resignations. And yes, we are aware that the ITP is actually owing us the financials. They have actually submitted those to date. Yeah, honorable members, there you are, and the minister has actually tabled the report. I am aware that there are matters that are still before court insofar as the governance and other issues related to the functioning of the board are concerned, and therefore I can see that in some respects the minister was very economical with information perhaps because of that consideration, that a lot of matters here are are sub judice. But nonetheless, the report is in front of the committee members, and I will allow, some input, as clarity-seeking questions and so on. I'm recognizing the hand of Honorable Maseko. Who else? Honorable Isaacs. Honorable Adams, is your hand up? Okay. Adams, Honorable Nkitamo. Yeah, Honorable and Dr. Mahlatsi. And Honorable Mkhaha.
I don't know if his hand was up.
Okay, let's start. We will start with Honorable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good morning, Minister and the officials. I do understand that there is a limited scope of questioning because of the issue being before the court, but I just want to find out how many board members are still remaining, and if they don't have a quorum, how are they taking the decisions in the daily operations of the trust itself? And in that scenario, if they don't have a forum, who takes the authority now to run it for the daily operations of the trust itself? I think that's all from me, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Maseko. Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to all again. Chairperson, under 10.1, correspondence to board members, I just wanted to check, Minister, did you receive any responses from the board after you informed them of what will happen? Thank you.
Honorable Isaacs.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning, Minister, Acting DG and your team. Chair, I was listening to the Minister and I think, like you said, it was quite economical with information. So for me, it's not really clear in terms of the depleted status of the board, and maybe some of the issues have been raised by Honorable Maseko. What is the trustee supposed to be? What would be the intended action taken by the trustee? We are seeing a depleted board, or is the issues of board membership one also part of those that are in front of the court? We would love to know, and I think we've been, in many instances, raising our concern about the goings on around the Ingonyama Trust Board. So, besides the fact that we are speaking about court cases, what could be the remedies that could be actually, what powers does the minister have in terms of making sure that we remedy the situation? Maybe we can be highlighted on that specific issue.
Thank you, Honorable Isaacs. Honorable Dr. Matlase. Yes.
Oh, thank you, Chairperson. I see you are pointing me even if I did not pick up my hand. The report indicates that there is a forensic process that is currently underway. What do you mean by forensic in this matter? Thank you.
Well, sorry, Doc, to put you on the spot without actually having raised your hand. I was advised by the secretary next to me who said you had your hand up. Is Honorable Kutama?
Thank you, Chair, and also Minister. We have traversed this matter for too many times now. The crisis of the trust seemed to be a permanent state of affairs. Minister, if it's possible to bring us into your confidence about what the king himself says about the board. Because from my perspective, there was something fundamentally wrong with the law when it took away his powers to determine his own board. And as I keep on saying, give those powers to a commoner, the minister. Now we have a dysfunctionality there. It is internal to the board itself. It is also the relationship between the board and the king. I am inclined to suggest that we must take seriously what the perspective of the king is on the matter, because he is the sole trustee over the land. The board is supposed to be his management team, but the board seems to have more powers than the king himself. And that is creating a tension, clearly. There's a big tension there. The king feels undermined by commoners who he has appointed, and you also have a portion of those you appoint. So we need the lasting solution and fixing that relationship once and for all, because the crisis emanates from that relationship. Minister, I want to test this idea with you as to whether would the solution be the giving of these powers to the king completely, and you become a functionary as a minister, instead of you having the powers to also appoint the board. But it would be good to get a good response about what the king's perspective is on the matter, so that we take our cue from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Matthias.
presides over the Ingonyama Trust board, because those powers he enjoys are derived from our very legislation adopted by Parliament. However, it's really disappointing, I have to say this, that these matters relating to Ingonyama Trust are not really been properly addressed. And I want to agree with the chair's observations that the minister has been very economic with the information. Just the titling of the report itself is problematic. It talks about governance, investigation, compliance, and legal context of Ingonyama Trust Board. The sequencing of even the title of the words used here is problematic. What are we dealing with here? Are we dealing with an investigation? Are we dealing with governance? Are we dealing with compliance, or are we dealing with legal context? Why many adjectives? What are we really dealing with here? Are we dealing with Mr. Moerani's report? What are we really dealing with here? Are we dealing here with the consultation process that the minister was requested by this portfolio committee to go and undertake with Isilo Samabal King? What are we really dealing with here? Because I've got a sense that there's no attempt to tell us the actual state of affairs in relation to the Ingonyama Trust Board. The report relating to the appointment of Moerane senior counsel were referred here to the scope of investigations, and were told that matters remain under investigation. This is a badly compiled report, badly compiled. In fact, let me just be blind, Honorable Chair. The minister with this type of a report is inviting us to go and hunt for honey. You know honey? And he says, come, let's go and hunt for the honey. But he invites us to a honey hive, or the beehive. He invites us into a beehive to go hunt for the honey. And he exposes us to the bees. Honorable Isaac notes. He actually exposes us. And he exposes us so badly, such that we are unable to engage with a report like this. Because there's no report to be presented before this committee after all, other than just the highlights of what he thinks that is the work that has underwent the whole process of more than about 2 years now. Since the minister became the minister, he has been presented with the challenges faced by the Ingonyama Trust Board. 2 years later, there's nothing that the minister can present before this committee as a concrete intervention. in Sesotho, perhaps someone will translate this to the minister's understanding. As a metaphor that I want to send very close home, and I hope Ntswaki will translate. What he's actually doing, oka se soka di gap. A loose translation is, here is a sick person who were invited to come and comfort. Instead of providing proper medication and ointment to the wounds the person suffers from, in a case of a biblical Job, who was suffering from all sorts of illnesses, his wounds exposed. Instead of providing proper medication for the wounds, we cry with the person who is suffering from the wounds, and our tears falls on the wounds. Instead of the wounds getting healed, the wounds get worse and worse. This is the state of affairs that the minister placed all of us into, and so disappointing. Thanks, Honorable Chair.
I didn't get the Sotho idiom on what you were actually saying. The Sesotho idiom.
The Sesotho idiom is o oka se so ka di gap, meaning he tries to clean up the wound with his tears. Instead of water and some other ointments and some other mechanism of cleaning a wound, he uses his tears as they fall down his cheek to clean the wound.
I now understand. Thank you, Honorable Matthias. Honorable Mkhakha.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Honorable members, Minister, DG, and every official in the meeting. Chair, we note the ongoing investigations. It might take us some time because you further complicate it by adopting an approach of being a forensic investigation, which in my understanding takes time. And maybe it's going to be important to be given the timelines because we arrived here as this portfolio committee having to confront this same situation of the ITP, and we made a commitment that within a short space of time this matter will be sorted out. But seemingly, we're delving deeper without solutions. I read an article about Judge Ngwenya losing a case. And I thought the minister would give us highlights as what are the implications of Judge Ngwenya having lost the case. Is he appealing? What exactly is happening currently? Was the ruling was that he must pay back the 30 million that is suffered from ITP. What then becomes the state of that ruling as far as department is concerned? honourable members have touched on the question of resignation. Could it be that these resignations are informed by the investigation? People choose to run away. Are they running away, in fact, from this investigation? And if they run away, they're running away, what then becomes your approach as a department? Because surely we would need to investigate everybody who is involved or was involved in this situation. There's an allegation here that the ACEO continue without legal authority. What does that mean? It's an allegation that the ACEO continue to act or operate without legal authority. What does that mean? When we undertook our oversight in KZN, having to interface with Amakosi in different areas, central to the complaint in the presence of the MEC of that province was a question of Amakosi not informed about critical decisions that are taken by ITP, or informed about the developments that are very serious, that have implication in their own operation, as the ITP is their body. Now, I just want to check whether, as you interface with all the stakeholders, do you take serious that complaint of Amakosi across that province that we're raising? Do you have meetings with Amakosi beyond with Majesty? The one land of Majesty, but panga operator as individual. Sinaye nathi pa uMajesty wethu wase wabathimbu. Yabona ke feudalism in many instances, xa we confuse a democracy, you have created a crisis in society and invite trouble here. But I'm saying you may consult with the Majesty, but with the Majesty might have no time to brief and consult the broader society of KZN. Because the IDP is part of a portion of KZN beyond the IDP jurisdiction. There are citizens of KZN who qualifies to this information and understand. How do then you approach that situation? Lastly, Chair, is there a provision in law that gives you a right to intervene in circumstances like when the trust is not making quorum, or you want to make secondments to reinforce the operation of that structure? Is there a provision in law that gives you the right to intervene by seconding some officials from the department to clean up what we have been observing as a portfolio committee? Surely you could do that through the laws or legislation. Is there a provision for such intervention? If yes, why not? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhaka.
Thanks, Chair. There's this part here, information that is under investigation, couched under investigation. I think there's nothing sub judice in front of this committee. There's nothing sub judice in front of this portfolio committee. We do have a legal right to demand information so that we are able to exercise our own oversight without necessarily couching it under court processes. There's nothing sub judice in front of this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhaka. May I actually hand over to the Minister and the team for responses?
Should I, do you want to take the stand or should I come now? Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Maseko, there were 9 members in the board and 4 resigned. And the last one only resigned 2 weeks ago, or the 4th one, or last week. Now, together with Ingonyama, they are 9. And Ingonyama has been very clear that he was isolated from day one, so he doesn't form part of that quorum. So there are 4. But we believe that, and we agree with Honorable Mwetam, that there is dysfunctionality there. They can't take decisions. But the legal opinion that was given to us, I'm sure we're waiting to get for it in writing, that these 4 members can meet in the first instance and they can make a quorum. But in the next meeting, they can call, they can have a meeting, even if they don't call it, and take decisions. But they must talk to the minister. You see, so it doesn't make sense, but we're waiting for them to talk to the minister. Now, the reason Honorable Matthias and Honorable Isaacs, I'm economic with information, is because this CFO or acting CEO, is on record with the deputy chairperson. They even called press conference. They are on WhatsApp, TikToks everywhere to say they are going to review all the decisions that were taken. In fact, they were saying they don't account to me, by the way. They account to the Minister of Finance. How, we don't know. So that's why we know that we're heading for a court challenge. Otherwise, we've been doing a lot. In fact, as I was calling the lawyer from our department, I was asking her, why are we not just sharing all the correspondence with the members of the committee? At least the correspondence that we've written and the correspondence that is coming from them. So at least you know what is happening. Otherwise, a lot has been happening. In fact, only last week we also wrote to them letters. They wrote back, the 4 remaining members. And we wrote back to them complaining about, I gave them 3 days why I cannot dissolve them. And they wrote back they were complaining about time, and they wrote, in fact, one lawyer wrote on their behalf to say they're complaining about time and so on. But the reason now we have not yet acted, Honorable Mkhaka, it's because we're waiting for the Minister of Finance, because there is a provision in law that says, the PFMA says I must talk to the Minister of Finance if I'm going to appoint an administrator to run the administration. So the Minister of Finance must concur. So we're waiting for him. I had a meeting with him last night. We wrote to him last week. So we're expecting that correspondence today so that we act. The King is very happy with the process we're undertaking. In fact, on the day we wrote to them, all of them, the King responded within an hour. He's the only one who responded within an hour to say this process is what he has been looking for all along. Let's go for it. There is dysfunctionality. He's saying exactly what we are saying. So that's where we are. Amakosi, Honorable Mkhaka, we consulted the King. The law says I must consult the King, I must consult the Premier, I must consult the chair of the House. We've done that in writing. They all responded in writing. Now, I've also made effort and met with the chair face to face. I briefed him about all the developments, so I took them into confidence. He's the chair of Amakos in KZN. But beyond that, I also met with the leadership of Contralesa in KZN and took them through the problems, the way this board has been conducting itself. And interestingly, in that leadership of Contralesa, there are 2 traditional leaders who are also members of the board. So I also took them through of what is, because remember, this is what traditional leaders has been saying, that no, they don't benefit anything from this board and so on. But all those things are going to form part of the investigation. It's going to tell us everything that is happening within the Ingonyama Trust Board. So it's investigation, Honorable Matlahatsi, it's forensic investigation, is investigating everything around the Ingonyama Trust Board, including the beneficiation of people living in the Ingonyama Trust land. So those things are all happening right now. I'm trying to cover all the comments, son of the soil. But as I was saying, Honorable, I was trying to give at least information so that you are not saying I'm in Xhosa idiom. And Funubas is a kaka. Andile will interpret for Honorable Ngweta. It's a crack. So I agree that this is a crack, but now I'm trying to give information. But I believe that we are heading for a litigation, because this board, as we have been saying here, they just undermine Isilo. And we've been pleading with them. I've been having meetings with them to say, this is the sole trustee of this board. You can't behave like this. You can't do this to the king. In fact, they decided not only to disrespect Isilo, they started undermining my authority and everyone else. By the way, including this committee, because they did not submit here. And they were here when one of the board members who said, even what is going to be presented here, we are not aware of it. It's a product of one person in this committee. So, to give you information, we are about to dissolve this board, and we are going to meet with them in court. That's all I can say now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I'm just wondering whether there is anything that the acting DG would like to perhaps add.
Honourable Chair, before
Yes.
the acting DG comes in, the minister used a Xhosa idiom. And he says, Honourable Ketama will translate. Or are you in a position to translate, Chair? Can someone translate for me?
I thought the Honourable Mqitama would do that for you. Who can help Honourable Matthias?
Chair, maybe let me loosely translate it by saying it's a cow that doesn't give milk.
So you are that cow.
I was that cow, and now I've decided to give you at least 2 cups or 3 cups of milk and give you information. And I hope the information is not going to be used against all of us in court.
Okay, thank you. I see hands. Would you actually please hold your horses and hear what the DG has to say, so that when you actually ask follow-up questions, then you will include the input of some questions from the input of the DG. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to the members of the Portfolio Committee and Minister and colleagues. Firstly, I must apologize for the report being so late last night and only receiving it this morning. The sensitivity of the matter reflects in that opening heading. It's a very complex matter. It doesn't only talk to one item. I just want to add that the Morani report should be out by the 18th of May. We've got, I just want to highlight that. On the issues of the acting CEO, we continue through our, we've been informed by the Deputy Chairperson of the Board that all matters relating to that HR component will be dealt with by the CEO himself and his human resources component. So I've also indicated that my DDG Corporate Services is liaising with the HR component to get the contract document. My view is, and I will put this also on record, that as the accounting officer, we transfer funds to the ITB for operations every quarter. And those funds must be utilized in line with the PFMA. And if there are any contractual matters where appointments are not regularized, those appointments then become fruitless and wasteful moving forward. So we have got no evidence. I have evidence that indeed the board had appointed the acting CEO to act over a period, and the first opportunity I got of that letter was mid-October last year to see the letter. I wasn't consulted prior to that. It was sent to me apparently in July. However, it was sent to an old email address because we had demerged with agriculture. Then furthermore, I also got a board note to indicate that this was indeed what the board had decided to with the acting appointment. However, all of these appointments would be irregular if there is no standing contract that's valid. So we're looking into the matter. It may happen that they can produce a valid contract that is valid for now. So that's why we also put in the report that it is under investigation. But it does affect how the board functions, because the head of the secretariat and the acting CEO has significant powers in that arrangement of the board, including the matter. So we've been indicated that we won't get access to the information because of POPIA. Now, I think as the accounting officer, we indeed have oversight rights over that. So we will be taking up the matter. We haven't left it at that. Also, as the minister has indicated, his actions moving forward would result in, and the discussions with the Minister of Treasury would result in an administrator being appointed, and that would also then assist with dealing with these matters where we don't get access to information. If we just look at the quarterly report performance over the last 2 quarters, indeed we have transferred money to the ITB, and we have noted continually over these quarters that the financial matters are not in order in terms of, but again, there are many people that need to be paid every month. So a management problem cannot affect the salaries of the staff members on the ground. So we sit in a bit of a catch-22, but we are addressing those through these actions that we now bring and propose with the administrator. Chair, thank you. I don't want to go on too much. I think Minister has adequately answered all the questions, and thank you.
I will recognize hands for the follow-up. That would be Honorable Maseko, Honorable Isaac, Honorable Mukhaha for follow-up. Okay, Dr. Natlase. Thank you, in that order. Okay, Honorable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think you answered me with I was going to ask the issue of now the financial obligation that they do have of the employees. But now if you are going to go for the litigation and the cost attached to that, they've got all the powers without ministers signing off to can pay the representation that they're going to have, or you have to sign over, or how are they going to pay if they're going to contest whatever that you're going to bring before them? How is it that going to work because they're interesting if they don't recognize you in decision that they have to take within the trust itself. And also the information for the Moerane investigation. How accessible is the information from them as you do the investigation? And we appreciate the commitment of the 18th of May, but is it not a little bit difficult for Mwerani to can get the information needed, looking at the financials that we still are waiting for the financials that we asked as a committee and it hasn't reached us. I think that's all from me, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Maseko. Honorable Isaac.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think mine is the biggest concern here is the issue of the irregularity of the expenditure that is currently going on at the board, particularly the absence of a contract of an accounting officer.
Would you like to come closer to the mic, please? Thank you.
Sorry, Chair. Chair, I think the biggest concern here should be the issue of the irregularity of expenditure that is currently taking place at the level of the board. And I would love to know, how do we circumvent, or what can be done about the apparent mismanagement? That is what was said by the acting DG, that it is clear that there is mismanagement, and in terms of the fact, in the absence of a contract for the accounting officer, there is the expenditure that is going on is irregular, but they are still paying over the monies because of the staffing situation. But I should think there should be a way to deal with the issue without entrenching the severity of the issues that is ongoing with regards to financial management. And I don't know, I would have loved to be informed. Chairperson, initially when I raised my hand, I think we are moving somewhere with the board issues. Our concern should now be the issue of the holdings, the Ingonyama Trust holdings, or what the company is, or whatever. And I don't want a response for now, but I think it's also important that the minister and his team should look into the issue of that specific element or component. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Isaac. Dr. Matlatse.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you, Africa President. You know, Chairperson, in security risk, there are two elements. The first one assures us that theft will happen. It assures us that there will be a criminal conduct. But the second element says, what is the value of what we seek to protect? I know of cities who lost 30 million on irregularities, and they employ a forensic company and they pay them 80 million to investigate 30 million. So you employ a company, you paid 80 million to investigate a lost 30 million. Maybe to you it makes sense, but for me it doesn't. So I want to establish this. I've asked that question deliberately when I ask, what is forensic? Because forensic for me, it's a Latin word that means ready for court. That means you have a document that is ready to be presented in court. Now, here's the question now. How much are we spending off Moerane? And how much are we looking for? Secondly, are we looking to arrest, or we want to regain or to get the money back? What is it that we are looking for? So that when you present such document here, at least we were able to analyze the detail. There's nothing to analyze here. There is nothing completely here. I look at the part of investigation. There's nothing there. So my question is, what is it that you are looking for? so that it's clear and the committee can also make an input in terms of how things should be done. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mahlatse. Honorable Mkhaka.
Thanks, Chair. It's a very interesting question that is posed by Honorable Mhlatse. I asked something about Judge Ngwenya, the case he lost, and my interest as to what then became the status of the case you were handling around Judge Ngwenya. The second issue is just a comment from a such around this question of quorum, that particularly the legal advice. Indicating that the 4 members of the board must jump a meeting, then the following meeting will go right. It's just a standard practice when it comes to boards. Is that a standard practice? You co-rate by force, just to check maybe as a department you are experienced in this area. Is that a standard practice? Because if you don't make a quorum, you don't make a quorum. Not talking about a branch. Hlangoshos branching ba meeting oqala icorretanga. Kubani wesibini. Ekwenye sithathu. Now I just want to check as an institution, is that a standard practice? The legal advice that you got. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhaka. And the last one will be Honorable Mqwetama.
Just a short point, Chair. Minister, you know, as we all agree, this has been ongoing for too long. We know that about over 5 million people are affected who live under the Ingonyama Trust. So to resolve this matter is really to address these needs of our people. We have a serious responsibility to do so. So since this crisis has been going for so long, can you give an indication by when, more or less, do we know all these processes shall come to an end? We can't be sitting here next year talking about the same thing. There is investigations and so on. Are the timelines being set so that we're able to somehow track the matter? Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you, Honorable Mqwetama. Perhaps I would also appreciate if the Minister would share with us, if he is actually free to do so, the terms of reference for the Morane investigation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, Chair, we will share everything, including the terms of reference. Yes, we will do that with the members of the committee. I'm trying to get the Honorable Maseko. It will be interesting to know how are they going to pay for their own legal representatives. It would be interesting because yesterday I received a call from the King's office and they said we have managed to freeze the accounts, but only the staff and others that must be paid. So they said that. So it would be interesting to see how they're paying their lawyers. Yes, Honorable Isaacs, we've always been having this concern about the acting CEO. And last week we were in Durban with the acting DG, and he was interacting with them to say, give us the contract of this acting CEO. Remember, this guy was a CFO, and his contract ended last year. So they were saying it will come now. We'll send it. It was 2 weeks ago till to date. There is no contract. But the CFO or the acting CEO is the baby of the acting DG. I told him that make sure that this guy leaves this entity as soon as possible. Now, once we get that concurrence from Minister of Finance, we'll immediately put the administrator there. And then we are hoping that by the 18th or before the 18th, the report from Morane investigation will come. Honorable Mahlatsi, the value of what we seek to protect. Remember, we have started this investigation because the king made that call. It is the king who came to us and told us about allegations of mismanagement of funds. And he was mentioning big amounts of money, that this board is doing this, they are selling farms, they are spending millions and millions, and there was no way, and he was saying act against them. And I said, no, I can't just act without investigating. So it is the king who called for the investigation, and we complied. He is not only the chairperson of the board, he's the sole trustee of that board. And with this investigation, but you'll see it when you're getting the terms of reference, is also going to investigate whether the 5 million people who are residing in the Ingonyama Trust land are indeed benefiting in their own land. So all those things will form part of the Muarane investigation or recommendations. Yes, Judge Ngwenya lost the case, Honorable Mkhakha, but he's still in court, which means he has appealed the case. He's still in court as we speak. So, as they say about Sepo and others, sub judice. So he's still in court. But he lost the case, and I know there was something like 30 million that he must pay back. But he lost the case. We're hoping that this time we're going to end this process. We're hoping that once we appoint the administrator, we'll start a process of publicizing the positions and hire a new board. That must serve not only the sole trustee of the board, but the people of KwaZulu-Natal from their land. That is going to work, because from the very first day when we met this board, I said to them, you can't, what kind of a board that does not talk to the sole trustee and the chairperson of a board? And we called for mediations, we've done this, we went to the king, he rejected the mediation, he said, no, this relationship are just irreparable now. So that's why we're here now. We are trying to make it right and make sure that this board works for the people of KwaZulu. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. There are two more follow-up questions from Honorable Matiase and...
Sorry, Honorable Chair. Sorry, I forgot the issue of this quorum that Honorable Mkhakha asked about it. I think let's just read it from the... This is what... Yeah, from the regulations. This is what the senior counsel was advising, but let's read it here. It doesn't make sense to me, maybe to others it will. Quorum and procedures for meetings. It's Regulation 15. 5 members of the accounting authority shall form a quorum for a meeting of the accounting authority. 5. And there are 4 plus 1, and the king is saying, I'm not part of you. You are 4. If a quorum is not present within 30 minutes of the times stated for the commencement of the meeting, no meeting shall take place, and the Secretariat shall convene a further meeting and shall serve a second notice on the members of the accounting authority for such meeting to be held within a reasonable period. And on that later date, the members present at that meeting form a quorum for that meeting, even if there are 4, even if there are 2, even if he is 1. of that meeting, provided, then that's where we're coming in, provided that the minister and the premier of the province, KwaZulu-Natal, shall be notified of the failure of a quorum. So they can't make a quorum without because if they are sitting as 4 members, then they must also notify the minister and the premier of the failure to make a quorum. And the minister and the premier and the chairperson of the traditional leaders and the sole trustee have been talking about this issue. So it will be interesting to know, to see how they will be moving forward. Point is, they can't make a quorum and they can't take any decisions, not anymore. So there's dysfunctionality in that case, as you've correctly said it, Honorable Mutam. That is what the king also wrote in his letter, that there is dysfunctionality here. But you'll have the letters today. Thank you. I wanted to clarify
But there is a proviso in the act that you have just read, that they may meet even if they are 4 or less, provided they tell the minister and the premier. So they are not. I think the law there is slightly vague, because telling and seeking concurrence are 2 different things. So they may actually drop you a message and say, hey, we are meeting here and we do not have a quorum, but we are continuing. Thank you. And then put down the phone. They have complied. You know. So are you now saying that, Minister, going forward, you are not going to entertain any being told that the meeting is continuing despite the insufficient quorum?
In fact, Chair, let me be clear. Once we get the concurrence from the Minister of Finance, we're dissolving the 4 members. In fact, we've been saying this that's why you are saying it's been 2 years, it's been almost 2 years every day. We're just running around the cycles. That's why Honorable Matthias is coming up with pseudo idioms. It's because we just can't take decisions. I think the time is now for us to be decisive, take a decision, and then meet anyone in court. Otherwise, we're going to spend this term dealing with Ingonyama Trust. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you, Honorable Minister. I think, Honorable Dr. Matlas, am I closing you out of the meeting?
No, thank you, Chairperson. I don't think the minister answered me, because this is governance question. It's not a wisdom question. Maybe what they should do, they should do a document whether they can restrict it. But we want to know how much are they going to spend of this Moarani, and how much is being lost, and what are the terms of reference. Those things are very important. We don't want to play around here. We want to know what is happening here, so that we know that we don't find a point whereby we are searching for 50 million, but we're going to spend here 500 million. Otherwise, if you have cases like that, we rather use internal investigation, where you know a person at the end of the month, they get their salaries. Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Matlase. Honorable Matthias.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. I'm pleased to hear the minister saying that they're going to intervene and intervene decisively. Look, we've been sympathetic with the board. We understood, they applied frustrations, we placed ourselves in their shoes. And we also understand that their numbers have been diminishing to a point where there are only 5 of them remaining because of external factors, of the role played by some of the board members who had split loyalty to the work of the board and also coalescing with some external interest outside of the board itself. We are fully aware of that. But the diminishing numbers of the board members have reached a point where we've got no choice, and the minister's got no choice but to act by dissolving the board. That's the first point. The second point is, last year we had a briefing here by SIU. If not SIU, is a component of the police, about what we have earlier requested in a form of a forensic investigation in the financial matters of the Ingonyama Trust Board. Would want or would like the minister in his next appearance before the committee to brief us of the extent that work has been done, because there's no reference to that work in the report presented by the minister. We don't know whether that investigation will also be integrated.
Sorry, Chair, just as he's still on the podium. Was it Hawks or SIUs?
It was subs. I think it was General Sintumule.
Sintimul, yes. Yes, it was the SAPF. Yeah. Thirdly, we're at a point at which we need to look beyond the current crisis of the Ingonyama Trust, meaning we now need to look into the reforms that are needed, institutional reforms, to address these concerns, including the concerns expressed by Honorable Mkita, where he says the affairs of the king seem to have been there's a nice English that Honorable Mkita likes to use. Usurp. Nice English. Usurp. Powers by a commoner. So we need to look beyond this crisis and look into institutional reforms. And it is as a result of lack of institutional mechanisms that in the department to do administrative, executive oversight that we've got to look into such reforms. Clearly, the office of the minister and the department have got no capacity to do oversight over the Ingonyama Trust Board and its affairs. Now, in looking beyond the current crisis and looking into reforms that are needed urgently, we perhaps need to ask the minister to look into that space, into how to modernize matters of land right management, land right use, the digitalization of the land within the traditional communal space, find creative ways of ensuring that our people are protected. The minister made a very important point, that the interventions he pursues are about the interest not only of the king, but the interest of the people who live on the land under the administration of the Ingonyama Trust. At the center of everything that we do, it must be about the interest of our people. So for that to happen, we need institutional reforms on land in communal spaces, especially the land under Ingonyama Trust Board. I ask that this matter must be looked into, and the department must, through the minister's guidance, of course, establish a directorate within the department which will look into that and start to formulate some creative ideas about modernizing the affairs and about bringing institutional reforms. Thanks, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Matthias. I think you have also put forward some valuable suggestions that are most likely to take the matter forward if actually considered and and factored in. Honorable Mqitama, did you? Oh, thank you. Then over to the Minister and the team.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think one of the key things that we ask is what is Morani's terms of reference? And I think that will be circulated, but I just want to go through in respect of the ITB. One is the alleged irregular and all unauthorized extension of contracts of both the CEO and the CFO. Alleged appointment of contractors outside the process of the mandate, Section 217 of the Constitution and Section 511A, Portion 3 of the PFMA. Alleged mismanagement of the proceeds from the sale of Ingonyama Trust property, whether the Ingonyama Trust fulfills its obligations to the beneficiaries of the trust, who are the Amakosi and the traditional communities, the alleged breakdown in relationships between the ITB and the trustee and the cause thereof, alleged exclusion of the chairperson trustee from financial oversight responsibilities, oversight responsibilities and critical decision-making processes, including the modifications to account signatories, and to advise the minister on the above-mentioned issues and make appropriate recommendations. Now, what becomes important here, and I think it's been picked up just through the regulations, there needs to be a revamp of those regulations. They were drafted at a certain time and period, and they seem to be problematic in the management of the Ingonyama Trust. So with that, that is what the Morani investigation is about. Then, in terms of the work that we were speaking to, I want Diriji Lupongela just to talk to the work that he's been driving in the department around shareholder compacts. We've done this, for instance, with in terms of the minister's performance agreement with the Office of the Valuer General. However, on the ITB, it's a different matter. Mr. Lupongela, just want to talk to that.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Minister, and honorable members. In line with the performance agreement of the Minister and the President, Minister has to have a monitoring mechanism of the entities, Office of the Valuer General, including the Ingonyama Trust Board. We have completed with the OVG. We have a challenge with ITB, Ingonyama Trust Board, in the context of all that has been said here. So this is talking to the point Honorable Metis was making, that we need to ensure that there's institutional arrangement in place. And of course, we have a chief directorate within the department that monitors the performance of the public entities. And Ingonyama Trust Board is also, we look at their annual performance plan, also their performance financially and service delivery, and they are actually declining. That's why the DG was able to indicate and report that there is actual institutional dysfunctionality and poor performance. But of course, we are looking into that, and we will take into cognizance the points that the honorable member has also raised. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Well, I think there's the minister.
I'm covered, Chair.
All right, no, thank you.
I'm just smiling at you because I want you to be part of the crucial witness today.
Well, thank you, Honorable Minister. I think there is just one outstanding matter which actually arose from the questions that honourable members actually put across to the minister, the issue of the Ingonyama holdings. I think that one actually was not, attended to. I'm not sure whether in a minute or two the minister would like to fill us up on that particular matter.
No, no, because Chair, we've just prepared for this issue of Ingonyama Trust Board, so we do not want to mix the issues. Perhaps in our next appearance, we'll then deal with this one.
Well, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Honourable Minister. Well, on that note, I just want to thank you, Honourable Minister, for this opportunity to engage with us. You will actually pardon us that we really want the Ingonyama Trust to make progress. I mean, when we went out there for oversight, we came back a little upbeat because we could see that there were some positives in our engagement with them, because we spent the whole day, we dedicated the whole day with the Ingonyama Trust Board. But there was a glimmer, a glimmer of hope that at some point, stability will be achieved. So we are just hoping that your interventions will ultimately bring that kind of stability in the operations of that entity. On that note, I would like to thank the Minister and your team. Thanks, DG, and for making time to actually, share with us the goings on in the ITP. Thank you so much. Honorable members, our next item would be can we deal with the minutes? Well, the minister would be free to leave the meeting. Um, Honorable members, there are issues on our agenda that would need, our attention. The matters, the minutes, adoption of the minutes, the status update on the upcoming study tour, and also the Colombia matter, which Honorable Adams actually has raised. I'm not sure whether the meeting would allow us to rearrange our agenda so that the issue of Colombia is discussed whilst I'm still here, and after which then I will respectfully ask to be released by the meeting so that I'm able to attend the ad hoc committee meeting. The Colombia matter. Honorable members will recall
Chairperson,
Honorable Bosso.
sorry, I just want to apologize. I also have another meeting, but I'm only an alternate member, so it's no disrespect. I just want to also be apologize, for my apology.
Okay, no, thanks. That is noted. Will you close the door when you walk out? Thank you. Why? Daar is geen blankes hierso.
That's a great advice, Chair. I second the advice, Chair.
We come from the west coast, the overside. Honorable members, I must appreciate the opportunity to actually fill members up on the issue of the Colombia trip. Honorable members will recall that we got the invitation to actually go. We discussed this matter at very great length, expressing our desire to actually be part of the ICAD conference in Colombia. And the conference was not the first. It was a continuation of the conferences that had actually been there previously, which had been attended by the South African delegation, if I'm not mistaken. I stand to be corrected there. That one was the second. So we made, necessary applications to the House Chairperson, following the internal protocols, and the House Chairperson eventually declined, citing a number of issues, one being the budget, and secondly being the security concerns. And as you know, honorable members, he took a long time to respond to that. And in the meantime, the date and the time was actually running out. Whilst we were waiting for the should I call it the permission? I don't know. The confirmation from the House Chairperson, some logistical arrangement had to be made in anticipation that he would agree. On Tuesday, I think it was on Tuesday, he then communicated with me very early in the morning. I think it was around 5 o'clock, to say, look, your application, acknowledged the application, and secondly said that he was, our application was not, was declined. Then I came back to the meeting because we were going to meet the following day. Then I filled up the meeting. I reported to the meeting that the Colombia trip was off because the House Chairperson actually would not agree to that. To the conference date, I then received a communication from the minister, from the minister's office, that the minister was prepared to, or was invited me invited two members of the committee plus a staff member, saying that he was prepared to pay for the cost of their travel to the conference. So it became an invitation to me by the minister. Then I accepted that invitation. But it coincided with my commitment, my party commitment, which had actually then deployed me to go to Germany to attend a conference of the ruling party in Germany. Then I went to Germany. Having accepted the minister's invitation with a staff member and and another member of the committee. Now, honorable members will recall that we had discussed the issue of these study tours and said, no, I'm mixing issues. I said, when the minister actually first invited us presentation, I asked him if he could consider at least to increase the number of members of the committee to 5. Then he rejected that. He said no, they would not have money for all of that, because I was looking at least, having a fair representation of the parties that constitute the committee. Then he turned it down. In fact, the same proposal had been made to the House chairperson, that if the entire committee, if he does not allow the entire committee to go, then can he consider a reduced number of the committee members? Then he said, no, that would be illegal, because there is no mechanism in Parliament to actually downsize the number of parties that constitute the portfolio committee, and also the criteria for representation in that kind of delegation. He said, here in Parliament, we operate on the basis of proportionality and nothing else. So, and that actually then meant that we would not be able to take all parties cannot accommodate all parties in the invitation of the department, and also to try to meet the requirements put by to address the fears of the House chairperson insofar as the budgetary constraints are concerned. Now, then I thought that if it was one person, then I decided that perhaps it could be a person from the largest party in this committee. Then I decided on Mr. Mkhaga to go. And then actually also being informed by the principle that we agreed upon here, that those who have actually been exposed to some study tours or conferences abroad, when the next turn of visiting or undertaking study tours come, that particular individual or individuals would then not be considered. So it means that if we were to go out on a study tour now, Honorable Mkhaga would no longer be part of that study tour, because he had been out in Colombia. Now, developments within my family actually happened, and I even had to cut short my stay in Germany and come back, because my wife actually took ill, and very seriously so. So I had to come back, and also even cancel the trip to Colombia. Last week I actually had to refund some of the money that they had, the expenditure that they had incurred on my preparations, or logistical preparations for my trip to Colombia. So that is the long and short, honorable members. I was not expecting this item to come today, so that is how far I can go about explaining what really happened about the Colombia trip. The Colombia trip was at the invitation of the minister. They paid for the cost of the trip to Colombia, and they actually specifically wanted a particular number of people from this committee to go, which they were able to pay for their expenses. That is the long and short of it, honorable members. Thank you. Know whether honorable members would like to. Honorable Adams.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, I raised that matter because for me, as a member of this committee, I think that matter should have been handled in a committee, and at that point we have a committee, physical committee meeting where Mr. Honorable Makhaga was appointed as a chair. And on that specific day, the rumors go around that there will be Colombia trip, whereby the chair, Honorable Maseko, and Honorable Makhaga was selected to go on that trip. It was not wrong, but the point here is that why didn't you bring it or refer it to the committee? My information also was that there was a letter written to the chair or to the committee, and it was not discussed in that meeting. At the time when I asked the secretary on the group, and that is the other problem, if we can't have a meeting and burning of urgent matters are arised, why are we not informed on that group to say 1, 2, and 3? That is the matter. Can we just discuss it here on the group so that we can take a decision on that? And there was, from my side, it's not a problem that who was going, but the matter is how it was handled. It was a consultation problem that was not discussed or mentioned to us, so that we, at least as a committee, defend the whole operation that was going on. Because when I discussed it with the secretary of this PC, he said, no, it was the chair, no, it was the department. If the department invite you, there's also no problem, because they are entitled and also pay for your going overseas. But I don't think the matter must also be linked to the first discussion of the Colombia trip. And if you see that way, Chair, it's okay, but how does it, the manner in how does it, was it handled? Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you, Honorable Adams. Maybe, I grew up in the Catholic tradition where we say, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. Where we actually admit our guilt, that perhaps we should have actually shared information much wider. But I do want to actually say that in the manner the whole invitation actually took place, and the subsequent preparations and arrangements, it was in such a rush because of the time. I remember that initially it was myself with 2 members. Then we had to write to the Speaker before anything else happens. We wrote to the Speaker to seek for the permission of the Speaker for the 2 members plus the chairperson. She took her time to respond. In the meantime, you know, time was actually becoming a problem. I don't know when the Speaker, it was 2 or 3 days before the departure. And Honorable Masego also declined. Now, in two days before the departure of the delegation, so there was now no time even to put the name of someone else, because there are issues of the visa, issues of booking tickets, issues of a number of logistical arrangements which could no longer be done within 2 days. So even myself, I was no longer able to cancel that I was no longer available to go there. So it was just a nightmare. Maybe the Secretariat would like to add, because they were directly involved in this.
Good morning, honorable members. Honorable members, we did receive an invitation which was shared with the chairperson, but you also took time constraint, honorable members. We also were running around, and from my side as well, I would also like to apologize for the manner which the issue was handled, honorable members, and for us not responding on time. We also felt that the chairperson needed to address some of the questions, because we didn't want it to look like we are making it our committee where we have a chairperson in the committee. Even if Honorable Mkhaga can also attest, due to the late submissions of things, they had to fly economy, and it was not a pleasant experience from what we've had. So, honorable members, I hope today we bury Columbia. Thank you.
Honorable Titama.
Just to write an obituary on Colombia. Is that chair, we must establish a principle so that in future we don't come back to this conversation and trying to, find the way as we go, because it's going to cause problems. And that principle must be on all these study tours. It must be full representation of parties represented in the committee, or the trip does not happen. We can't allow 1 or 2 parties which are here to go and other parties don't go. It is inherently unfair. It cannot be allowed. So, Chair, I think we must as a committee agree on the principle of full representation of parties in the committee for all the study tours, because those study tours have serious benefits. Those who go there get to interact, get to learn, and get empowered. So it cannot be a matter of other parties go and others don't go. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you, Honorable Gletama. I think we actually established that principle in our discussion. And that is one reason why we were reluctant. Even if the House chairperson had agreed on the reduced number, we agreed with him on the issue of proportionality. That, look, here we are an X number of parties in the committee. I don't have, as a chairperson, I have no powers to say party X should not go, party Z must go, because there is a principle of proportionality that has actually been well established in the operations of Parliament right across the board. So, therefore, even the study tour that we are going to be talking about now, it's actually going to take place in the context that all parties that are represented here shall have to actually be part of that study tour. So the principle is there, and we need to stick by that principle. But at the same time, Parliament is ever mourning about lack of resources, in particular, the budgetary constraints. Are we ever going to be able to undertake any study tours if Parliament actually is approaching things in the manner they do? The matter is in. Honorable Maseko, did you have your hand up?
Not sure you covered me that we discussed there the last time. Okay.
I hope that the priest has pronounced over the burial of the Columbia of the Columbia matter. Honorable members, I would like to leave you in the honorable and the capable hands of Honorable Adams, to not because she asked the Columbia Met, no, but just for a change, we need to be progressive as this committee. Also, the women should be seen to be doing good work in our committee. Even at our oversight, she was leading at some point, the delegation. Thank you, honorable members, for allowing me to go and join the hot meeting that is taking place right now. I thank you, honorable members. Yes. Honorable members, even though I have actually handed over the chairmanship, there is a concern that the moment I leave, then the quorum will be depleted. But when we started the meeting, the quorum was there. Are we going to stand on the quorum that was there? Okay, no, thank you.
Honorable members, can we continue with our agenda? I think we just have to swap our agenda to take the adoption of the previous minutes first, and then we can discuss the study tour. Is it fine with you? Thank you very much. I will ask the secretary of the committee to present the minutes to us. Actually, we received the minutes of the 11th of March. If we can have someone to adopt the minutes and second on the minutes. I thank you. Comrade Maseko.
Thank you, Chair. Taking, recognizing that we received the minutes the way beforehand, I'm going to propose that we adopt without any amendments of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Comrade Honorable Maseko. Is there any seconder on that proposal for adoption? Honorable Isaacs.
Yes, Chair, let me second the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you. The minutes is adopted and seconded. Then we move to the another point, the status update on the upcoming study tour. If the secretary can just brief us on that matter.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. In regards to the status of the study tour, our researcher, Ms. Tembi Pepeteka, will lead that report. Thank you.
Can we? Honorable Maseko.
Thank you very much. Chair, while they're still getting ready, you know, it's so a bit challenging when we do all this work and discuss the study tour, and then after we are going to get about 3 or 4 people that it will be the conversation that they have to go for the study tour. So I just want to find out the precautionary measures that are in place to make sure that the committee will have a bigger delegation that go on the study tour. Are we going to have the rollover of the money that we didn't use for the international tour for this financial term to can accommodate when we go, that it will be enough to accommodate everybody? Or is going to be another discussion that will argue with the chair of chairs that only 5 people have to go? Or what is the status? That maybe the Ben or the officials can tell us what is the status in that conversation, because it's one of the things that we suggested that we look at the rollover so that it can accommodate more delegates when we go for that study tour. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Maseko, for that point. It's a very important point to discuss before we have the briefing on the study tour. If Dr. Manenze or the secretary of the PC can just give us a briefing on what Comrade, Honorable Maseko just asking for. Thank you.
Mornings, honorable members. Honorable members, we have a lot of challenges when we do these study tours, because it varies. Some committees, the whole delegation would travel, some committees will be cut. So I think the first step that the committee can take is maybe first meet with the House Chair and iron things out before we start anything in regards to the study tour. And maybe the chairperson can just say, we want the full delegation of the committee to go on the study tour. Another thing, I think when we first did the Colombia trip for the whole delegation, I think it was close to 5 million, if I'm not mistaken. Cynthia? Yes, it was close to 5 million. Now, the allocation for our committee was 3 million for the last financial year. So the maths is also not mathsing. So we also don't know how much are we getting on the 1st of April on the new allocation, and it doesn't roll over. I don't know why. Thank you.
I noted the hands of, thank you, Secretary. I noted the hand of Honorable Isaacs and then Honorable Maseko. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know, but my experience is that if we confirm the logistics and we can already utilize the available budget to make the necessary arrangements, it might be to our benefit because it means that in the next financial year that is starting next month, we can be able to actually top up whatever we are supposed to be doing. Usually that is what we try to do. The concern that I'm having, many committees are planning study tours now. So we will have to make sure that our date is determined like for today and also our destination so that we can actually utilize the available budget. And if at all we do need more, before we go out, we will be able to utilize the upcoming budget. I think we must just be strategic in how we approach the issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think Member Isaacs covered me because I wanted us to have the strategy of using the what we do have now and have the top up in the next financial year. That will help us to have the all members moving forward. But again, I agree with Ben that we need to engage with the chair of chairs because it cannot be animal farm that there are committees that are equal but more important than the others. It doesn't make sense to us that what formula does he use when coming to that. But we have to also, and we are not undermining the financial constraints of the budget's allocation, but if there is a possibility for a committee, unless if our committee is not the priority in the parliament, we can argue that we don't know why it wouldn't be a priority, one of the committees that get to be recognized as a portfolio committee. But we have to say what are the other strategies that are in place? How can we go about to go beyond what is being offered to us and see if that can work? That's all from me, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Maseko. I saw the hand of Honorable Isaacs.
Now, Chairperson, I'm just concerned if we speak like that. As a committee, we must also make sure that our planning and our operations is actually in place because I can tell you that the chair of chairs is doing it almost to everyone. But then when you look at the planning of committees, in actual fact, he counseled us on the fact of the committee and the way we did plan things. When we went for our strategic plan, as the committee that I'm chairing, when we went for our strategic plan, I met the chair of chairs and I told him that I'm going to strat plan. And he said to me, plan properly and stop blaming me. That is what he said.
Thank you, Honorable Isaacs. I think Mr. Mananze, Dr. Mananze, can give some answers on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, honorable members. I think the point that Honorable Isaacs is raising is important. I think we have to do our cleanse. If you look at the time now, before the end of the financial year, it's just a few weeks. How many weeks? The committee hasn't decided where it wants to go, the dates, so there is no opportunity, even if there was budget, to spend it. So at this point in time, and actually this committee, I don't know, we don't even have more than, probably, I don't know, let me not lie, it's not even more than 1 million. And there's still one oversight that we need to do regarding the petition. So I think, yes, so it's us really putting our ducks in a row and take decisions and get the timing right. and submit. The point that Lwazi raised about the chairperson engagement with the House Chair, very important. Thank you.
Thank you, members and Dr. Mananze, for the information that we received and also the questions and inputs from the members. I just wanted to ask the members regarding the information that we receive now and the proposal of from the secretary and also from the two members that have spoken, that the chair must interact with the chair of chairs, Mr. Frolik, regarding the study tours of our PC. And my next one will be, will it be possible for us to go further with this study tour briefing document which the researcher was about to do? Hence we have the meeting or the discussion on the inside matter of finance of our committee. I will hear from you. Thank you. Honorable Maseko.
Chair, I am going to propose that we continue, but take cognizance that it's not going to be for this financial year, of which it will be for the next financial year, and it will be the way planning ahead that all the arrangements are in place way before, so that the tickets can be cheaper and the accommodation can be cheaper and everything. But we have to say where are we going, so that we can hold accountable our support staff in that man. But if we don't give them the direction, how to plan, where do we want to go, it's going to be difficult for them at the 11th hour that we have to say to them, we need to go for the study tour.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Maseko. We hand over to the researcher.
Good morning, Acting Chair. Good morning, members, and good morning, colleagues. Sorry. First, I want to say okay, sorry, this is not clear. The secretary did send a bigger document, which this presentation is based on. And the second thing that I want to say is that the document is actually is not any depth analysis. It's just the high level analysis. It's only when the decision has been made by the committee which country they want to go that will be doing any depth analysis. I think the question that was asked by Honorable Matthias, where he said there's a need to do a comparison. I think that will be possible when the committee has made a decision on which country they want to do a study tour. Then in terms of introduction, in terms of the oversight and accountability model, Parliament provides opportunity for its committees to undertake study tours on fields relevant to particular committees. In this case, the PC can undertake an international study tour to focus on international experience on the fields of land reform and rural development. The purpose of the study tour will enable the committee to learn from international experience, both successes and shortcomings of interventions in the relevant sectors, that is land reform and rural development. However, it should be noted that land reform programs do not easily translocate from where they were successful to a new country, and most of them are historical in nature. Therefore, it is important that these lessons are adapted to the local context. The purpose of this presentation is to propose possible areas for the committee study tour in 2026, based on the two sectors, which is land reform and rural development. By drawing lessons from the study tour, members may suggest solutions that may make South Africa able to better navigate the complex challenges of land reform and address high unemployment rates and poverty in rural areas. The first proposed country is India. Like South Africa, India was colonized by Britain, and land reform was a central component of India's freedom struggle. And since independence, the Indian government has made significant effort to reduce rural poverty through addressing issues of inequality in land access and insecurity of land tenure. The government of India enacted legislation to deal with actually 4 issues in order to increase access to land for the rural poor, which was abolishing intermediaries' interest in land, regulating tenancy, limiting the size of land holdings, and consolidation of land holdings. In terms of rural development, the government of India has adopted a multi-pronged rural development strategy, which includes the following programs: the Integrated Rural Development Program to help the rural poor improve their income and reduce poverty line through acquisition of credit-based products. And the Swanayak, I don't know how to pronounce that one, as a comprehensive self-employment initiative for rural poor. And then the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment, which also guarantees extra work for those who need it. Why study tour to India? The PC can draw lessons from the successes and challenges experienced in land reform strategies to increase access to land reform for the rural poor in England, including the regulating tenancy, limiting the size of land holdings, and consolidation of land holdings. The study tour will provide the committee an opportunity to learn from rural development initiatives implemented in India that have led to decline in the poverty levels in the country. The second proposal is Brazil. But here members have to be aware that the committee actually did a study tour. I'm not sure, it was not, they were invited to Brazil, so they did in 2023. The previous committee went to Brazil. In terms of land reform, since the 1960s, there have been a series of land reform attempts in India focusing on redistributing land to the rural poor and improving tenure security, including land expropriation and state land redistribution. However, they were not successful. Faced with high landless, the Brazilian Landless Workers Movement, abbreviated as MST, founded in 1984, took upon itself to mobilize landless rural workers to settle and cultivate unused land held by wealthy landowners. The MST also expanded its focus beyond just land to include food security, affordable health food, and combating urban poverty and educating the masses, and making the cause more relatable to broader society. In terms of rural development, the reforms involved initiatives to overcome the challenges of poverty and hunger and resulted in transformation of many poor villages. They had a program called Zero Hunger Program, which was launched in 2003, and that was a major national strategy to eradicate poverty, hunger and extreme poverty through integrated emergency aid. Why study tour to Brazil? The powerful MST offers South Africa lessons in mass mobilization, political education, building rural-urban alliances, and the need for comprehensive post-settlement support beyond just land transfer. By studying the successes and challenges of Brazil's movements, the committee can draw lessons for the development of more effective, holistic, and empowering land reform strategies addressing deep-seated inequality and empower the landless in South Africa. The committee can draw lessons from rural development initiatives done in Brazil to reduce poverty and hunger in rural villages that could be adapted in South Africa. And then the third one is the proposal is China. And also it should be noted that the previous Political Committee was actually, of Agricultural Land Reform was actually visited China upon invitation by the Chinese National People's Congress. So it was not a study tour. It was just an invitation. And in China, land reforms in the late 1940s were characterized by land redistribution, collectivization, and decollectivization, and improving tenure security. In the 1960s, they adopted the household responsibility system, which led to decollectivization, which is moved from collective ownership of agricultural land to family contracting.
Sorry, Chair, if you can, because we received all this, if you can go maybe on the why
I
study
studied
tour
tour.
only.
Okay.
You don't have to tell us
The
yeah.
introduction,
Just
of
go
the
just
background.
on the why the study tours of different countries, so to get it from you. Through
Okay.
you, Chair, if it's okay.
Thank you.
So why study tour in China? PC can draw lessons from the successes of China post-1978 land reforms, especially decollectivization, moving from the collective ownership of agricultural land to family farms. The second one, the PC can learn from rural development strategies initiated in the Chinese war on poverty to alleviate poverty. The third one is Mexico. Yes, wait, I must move. Why study tour in Mexico? The study tour to Mexico provides an opportunity for the committee to explore the path taken to provide land tenure for rural communities through LGDO land tenure and understanding how LGDOs as communal land holding entities work in contracts to communal property associations in South Africa, to draw lessons from rural development initiatives to support small-scale farmers. And then the one is a proposal is Australia or New Zealand. Why study tour to Australia or New Zealand? PC can learn how the government of New Zealand and Australia dealt with restitution of land claims by indigenous people. New Zealand is recognized as one of the world's leaders in implementing a restitution program for its indigenous people, which South Africa can learn from. PC can draw lessons from the settlement support provided to beneficiaries and the role of different institutions supporting land restitution processes in those two countries. PC can also learn from experiences and challenges encountered in those institutions. The next one is Japan, and then why study tour in Japan? Japan's land reform experiences with effectively abolish landlordism offers key lessons for South Africa. The one product, one village product, one OVG, which is one village, one product, can benefit South Africa in its fight against poverty and unemployment in rural areas. I'm not sure if you do it. Then the next one is Tanzania. Why study tour in Tanzania? A compromise that was made between ownership paradigm and fragmented use rights paradigm was applied with success in Tanzania, which the committee can draw lessons from when processing the communal land bill when it is tabled in Parliament. And then the study tour which is the last one in Botswana. Why study tour in Botswana? It will give the PC members an opportunity to examine how land administration responsibilities were shifted from traditional leadership to land boards over the past 5 years and how tribal lands are registered. Members will have an opportunity to study how traditional authorities coexist with and participate in the official land governance structure. All this will assist members in processing the communal land bill when it is tabled in Parliament. The conclusion, 8 countries have been proposed as possible areas that the committee can conduct study tour. However, the decision on which country to go depends on what the committee sees as critical for its oversight. And then I have a table which put all of those lessons from different countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. The presentation was on the study tour, whereby the researcher concentrate mostly on why study tours. So I will request members to engage on the discussions relating to the presentation that we receive. Thank you. Honorable Maseko.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think the countries that have been identified for our study tour, we really appreciate. But personally, I feel maybe if we can get more in-depth information on Japan and Australia and New Zealand will appreciate that, because in a way the restitution is still a challenge within South Africa, and also sustainability, that it gets it gets to be intentional in what it wants to achieve. It will be interesting to see how do the different institutions support land restitution, and how do they sustain in making sure for the food security and creating the employment to alleviating this joblessness that we are facing as a country. And Japan also interesting on the one village and one product, because I know in Western Cape, they've been having the IT equipment that is helping to can identify different areas of what to plant when, that they advise the farmers. So in transferring the land to the tenants, and also one of the thing is the unemployment Japan is been dealing with in on this transfer of land. It's one that is sort of interested to see how do they go about to make sure that the implementation, sustainability, and how do they allocate the financial support from the government to those recipients, and more because they said they prioritize also the middle class for them to also to contribute in that. So I think it's only those two from my side that I think they're more interesting to be comparable to what we have in South Africa. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. Honorable Isaacs, and then Honorable Matlatsi.
Thank you, Chair. The one that maybe because of the past months we've been continuously speaking to the department about the whole issue of post-settlement support. And funny enough, I see that words in the Brazil issue, the issue of post-settlement support, of which South Africa doesn't necessarily have a model around the issue of land restitution, of a proper model around post-settlement support. And I'm also interested in it's just a pity that Brazil and Australia is very far from one another, but they are both in the south. And I also interested in the restitution for indigenous people. But if we are serious about what they've been bothering us for the past few months, the issue of post-settlement support came up. I'm sure if we go back into our minutes, we will see it's coming up for many times. So the issue of addressing poverty and all of that is very interesting, but I just want us to take into account what was the issues that have been bothering us. The one of Japan on the one village, one product thing is also something that is very interesting. But I think our responsibility is to make sure that the whole issue about land restitution is the issue that we actually look into. Because what I'm worried about is, and I think we discuss it here, is that we don't have to focus on agriculture per se, but on the whole issue of land reform and land restitution. And that is what I want to propose, that we also, look into the Brazil model.
Thank you, Honorable Isaacs. Honorable Matlatsi.
Thank you, Chairperson. No, I think the honorable member took a lot, have covered me a lot about we must not only focus on agriculture. We are not a committee of agriculture. We are a committee of land reform. So there are other opportunities beside only agriculture, but the issues of land. And we must go beyond rural development and also improve our relations with these countries because they also have their interest in us. For an example, the people of Brazil, they are enjoying our rooibos in Northern Cape, in Appington. But how do we take advantage of that and ensure that our children get opportunity to be the one that export this rooibos tea without those guys coming to South Africa? So from my side, I'll be supporting the 3 BRICS nations, China, Brazil, and India, and I will put our brothers, Tanzania, because I know for the fact, in terms of agriculture, they have been successful. Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you very much. I saw the end of Honorable Matthias.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Well, I proposed on the WhatsApp group that beyond this report, we must be provided with what already obtains in South Africa. Alternatively, indicate if we were to go to China, for instance, to go and study what the report characterizes as war on poverty. What mechanisms, systems and programs in place in the country today that are geared towards declaring and fighting and alleviating poverty? And if we don't have such, we need to have a column that says we don't have such existing currently in the country. Otherwise, there would be no point to go or undertake any form of study tour anywhere, whether is it in Botswana or is in Brazil or in Mexico or anywhere else, unless if we do that. A comparative analysis we have to go beyond what has been done over the last 30 years. Honorable Mokaka was sharing with us some other time that many years ago, whilst he was an MPL of Eastern Cape, they undertook a study tour to China to study certain lessons on how the landless or peasant people have been given land and they farm effectively, and how they are settled on farms. The question is, have they, upon returning back from China, developed systems, mechanisms, and programs to implement what they've learned or not? So we have to change how things have been done over the last 30 years. Otherwise, there's no point of going anywhere else. Well, member says we should not pay much attention on agriculture. In fact, this department should be named Land and Agrarian Reform and Rural Development. Agrarian is inclusive of agriculture. The other time I was, just this is the last point, I was with the former DG from KZN. What is his name? Mtu. He says, the former President Thabo Mbeki called all of them in one meeting and says, can any one of you explain to me what is agrarian reform? All senior managers, all of them. And he says, none of them, having gone to school, having acquired so much of formal education, PhDs, what you may name them, none of those senior officials could present a compelling, convincing case as to what is agrarian reform. And each time as they speak, the former president took notes. And at the end of the day, after having listened to all of them the whole day, he presented his version and understanding of agrarian reform is. It's an important aspect. Why the ANC has been avoiding to refer to this department, land and agrarian reform, rural development and agriculture, or even you don't even have to include agriculture, because in the word agrarian, agriculture is included. And to have this department as one ministry, land, agrarian reform and rural development. And in fact, once you've got land and agrarian reform, you don't even have to include rural development, because agrarian is inclusive of agriculture and rural development. Now, any visit we intend to undertake must be comprehensive, must be inclusive of all components and elements of land and agrarian reform. Otherwise, there's no need of us going anywhere else. Thanks, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Matthias. Honorable Machacha.
Thank you, Chair. No, Chair, I must appreciate the motivation, but I think the researchers can do better, because that's what persuades the office of the Speaker and the Chair of Chairs, or Trust Chair, in terms of agreeing with us. I would propose that we identify 3 countries in an order of priority, so that if the first country is not accommodating us, the officials simply go for the second and the third. Ideally, I would have loved to go to China. Ideally, I would have loved this committee to go to China. Unfortunately, China no more than 4 times frequenting that country. Now, Chair, that's an ideal situation. But fortunately, in another committee in Sevagoyo, China has accommodated that committee for August. And I'm not sure whether China can accommodate many committees from the same parliament. Maybe those who are experienced in this situation may. But in another committee, China responded to say, not for now, in August. So you can make follow-up on that. And I know that Asian countries are confronted by indirectly by this war. Indirectly, China is involved in that, and India, though it's a neutral country, but it's involved. So I would suggest that we target number 2, Brazil. And number 3, no, number 1, Australia, New Zealand. It's better 2 countries at the same time. I'm raising this because the history of the colonizers and the indigenous people of both countries, the aborigines, is very interesting. So it will be interesting to know how land redistribution and restitution has been managed in those countries. Their history is almost the same. So, as priority number 1, away from this war, another direction. I don't think they'll have an excuse. That's 1, 2, Brazil, then 3, China. That's what I would propose, my chair. Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Mhaga. Honorable Pitama.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, my order of proposals will be that we do Japan, Brazil, and then China. But my motivation for Japan is because they had undertaken a very successful land redistribution project and based their industrialization on that. So it's a very successful model, and it might even make some argument for compensation, which we are opposed to. But they undertook that radical project with compensation. And we must see the results of that model and see if we can't push the GNU towards doing the right thing. Because their counterparts in Japan have done exceptionally well. So I just think it's a very strong project to learn from, because they have resolved the issue. They've dealt with their latifundia, or large-scale farmers. They broke them down, gave land to small-scale, provided government support, and largely it underscored the industrialization and modernization of Japan. You can't understand it without understanding that land reform project. So I think on that basis, I would motivate strongly for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pitama. All members give their input on the presentation that we receive. From my side, if I can just check on the recommendation, not recommendation, the proposals that come up strongly was Japan, Brazil, and China. Am I correct, honorable members? That was the 3 names that strongly come up. So I will ask the researcher and Dr. Menenze to go back and look into the in-depth business of those 3 countries, and then will bring us light on what they've research output or feedback will be. Brazil, China, and Japan. I think I think there was a whispering in my ears to say that we are qualified to propose 3 countries. Oh, okay. I will give over to Dr. Mananza.
Thank you, Chair. Just to remind members, you will remember previously when the Chair reported to the committee after we were declined for the conference, the House Chair advised that Chairperson should come to the committee and have a discussion and come back with 3 possible countries. So it is on that basis that we were whispering to the acting chairperson to say that let's propose 3 names, 3 countries, and to mandate the chairperson to go back to the House Chair. What will also help us now in terms of sort of beginning to do groundwork is if members could advise and say, with the information that we have, what will be the first option, the second, and the third. And that will enable our researcher to go deep now and respond to some of the questions that members have raised regarding the detailed analysis. But for all 3 together, not all 3 together. So at the end of the day, it will choose one. Remember also limitation of resources to do the study tour. Thank you.
Honorable Isaacs?
No, I'm just saying, in terms of what we have listened to the members making the inputs, that countries came out as the majority proposed. In fact, if I can be very clinical, I can say 2 proposed Japan, 3 proposed Brazil, 2 proposed China, or what is it proposal? Yes. So that is exactly why we are with this 3. And I think we should be very clinical so that it is not an emotional issue. We must go with the 3 that was proposed.
Okay. Honorable Masejo, do you want to say something?
Chair, also to propose. That is why I'm saying that what Member Matias was saying was very important, because he said comparison before. Because if you are going to look on the nitty-gritties like your Brazil, it failed on some of the land reform that they did. And we are going to go there to learn how did they fail. Part of it, they did well on other things they failed. So that is what I'm saying. For the sake of getting them more information, in-depth information, you can choose. Therefore, that is the information. We agree the 3 has to go. Have the deadline of we can get maybe by when the information for the top 4, then we'll select the 3 out of that 4 for it to suggest to the chairperson. But if we cast on stone just 3 now, then let's debate until 2 o'clock to say which countries are we going to take, because it's not an emotional, it's an intelligently response to what is in front of me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Masejo. Honorable Tutama?
Yes, Chair. We cannot be threatened by debating until tomorrow. It's not going to work. Chair, I think that I align myself with the sentiment that there has been countries selected and a majority of members have oriented towards those. We must close the debate on the basis of the majority countries which have been proposed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kikama. You will be last on this issue. Thank you.
I support Honorable Mkhatama. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
The
honorable
Progressive
members.
Caucus is alive.
Number 1. Which one is number 1?
Japan was 1. The first one, 2, China, Brazil 2, and China 3. So that is the 3 countries proposals that was given by the members Also, members, what I will propose is that the researcher and the content advisor, Mr. Mananze, will go back, will look into the proposals that we give them, but I also wanted to add that they must also, the secretary must also include it on that one, that they must also look in proposed dates. So that was the last discussion on the possibility of the countries that we as the committee has proposed on. Anything from your side? Thank you, Honorable Makaka.
I would advise, Chair, because I know, I'm aware that there are committees that have been rejected by other countries. It would be foolish of us if we don't consider that our researcher must interface with other committees that had a program of the study group, because other committees have been rejected by other countries. That's why I was suggesting that if we can be smart in terms of our approach in dealing with that, maybe that office that receives these suggestions who may assist.
Honorable Isaacs.
Yes, Chair, I think what we need to take into account is the existing hostilities that is taking place, particularly in the Middle East and so. So it might be that some of the countries will be afraid because of the instability that is existing. So that is the kind of things that will be taken into account, I believe, and that is why you find that some of the countries actually, we are also experiencing it at other committees, and I don't think this things that is happening currently in the country is really doing us a favor, how we are portraying ourselves in the public domain. So that is not things for me to go too deep into. But I would agree that let us look into what we have proposed. We still have options, but let us do it as soon as possible.
Thank you, Honorables, for your inputs and proposals. We just heard what the advice was. So the researcher and the content advisor with the secretary, they will go back and come back to us as a committee and inform us what they have get from the proposals from the members. I also think that we have come to the end of our meeting. If there is nothing else, Secretary. Okay. We have come to the end of our meeting, and we thank you all for attending the meeting this morning. Also to our staff, which prepared this meeting. And if there is visitors, we also thank you for coming to listen what the discussions on certain matters was of the committee. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.